Every human has shrunk down to 6 inches in height, with their strength scaling down accordingly. All buildings, vehicles, and infrastructure have shrunk with us. They still work on this miniaturized scale. Cars still drive, computers still compute, houses still hold. Everything inside a human-built building has also been miniaturized, including pets, livestock, and farm crops. The dog is now 6 inches. The cow is the size of a thumbnail. A wheat field would fit on a coffee table, but the wild world has not shrunk. Every wild plant, every insect, every bird, and every untamed animal stays exactly the size it was before. A blade of grass is now a tree. A squirrel is now a rhino. A common house spider is now a monster. The world we knew has not gotten bigger, but in every practical sense, it absolutely has. So the central question is this: can humanity remain the dominant species on this planet? In the first hour, the most disorienting thing is not the size of things around you, it is the physics. Surface tension, which we barely notice at full size, is suddenly a problem. A puddle of water becomes a death trap because water clings to your body with a force that, at this scale, behaves more like glue than liquid. Falling 6 feet from a chair is now proportionally like falling 60 feet onto concrete. But there is one thing physics rewards at our new scale: strength relative to body weight. Insects can lift many times their own weight, and so can you. A 6-inch tall human with proportional strength can leap higher and survive bigger falls than a full-size one. That is the only good news of the morning. The first real problem hits within a day. Weather. A normal 1-inch rainstorm, which any city handles without thinking, now drops projectiles the size of basketballs onto your head. A patch of standing water becomes a lake. A normal snowstorm dumps the equivalent of 12 to 20 feet of snow onto your shrunken city. Roads are buried, doors are blocked, entire neighborhoods simply disappear under the white. And then there is wind. A breeze that you would barely notice at 6 feet tall is, at 6 inches, a full hurricane. Hail becomes a meteor shower, a flash flood that destroys a few homes in the world we knew would, on this scale, wipe out an entire country. The Northern Hemisphere is in immediate terminal trouble. Snowstorms are no longer inconvenient. They are an extinction event. Anywhere that gets a real winter would have to abandon the surface or accept that civilization there is over. Even lightning becomes a different kind of threat. A normal bolt that hits a tall building gets harmlessly grounded by lightning rods. At our new scale, lightning rods become impossible to build at the right height because the lightning still picks the tallest point of contact in the natural world, and almost every natural tree is now taller than every human structure. Oceans, lakes, and rivers also become alien geography. A normal wave at the beach is now a tsunami. Coastal humans lose access to seafood almost entirely because fishing boats at our scale cannot survive natural swells. The freshwater problem is even stranger. A small stream becomes a raging river. Even the act of getting a drink of water from a natural source becomes a high-risk expedition. Most communities solve this by collecting rainwater in scaled-down reservoirs and treating it on site. By the second day, the next existential threat appears: animals. Every wild creature on the planet now looks at humans the way humans used to look at mice. To a raccoon, you are a snack. To a fox, you are a meal. To a wolf, you are a single bite. To an eagle, you are not even worth landing for. And those are just the big animals. The smaller ones are arguably worse. A garden spider is now the size of a small horse, with venom strong enough to drop a human in seconds. A hornet is the size of a fighter jet, with a sting that punches straight through soft tissue. An ant colony fields thousands of warriors, each as long as your forearm, with mandibles that can take off a hand. A cockroach is the size of a bus. In the wild around the world, in the first week, hundreds of millions of humans die. Not from war, not from disease, from simply being eaten. The population collapse is the fastest in human history. But humans are smart, and in the second week, the survivors start to adapt. The first move is downward. Burrowing. Modern excavation equipment scaled down can carve out tunnels and bunker systems impossibly fast. We can finally do what ants have been doing for tens of millions of years: build a city underground. Underground, you are safe from weather, safe from most birds, safe from most large predators. You still have to deal with subterranean threats like moles and underground insects, but it is a fair trade. The second move is upward. Trees. A single oak tree is now a mile-tall skyscraper with its own ecosystem. With the right engineering, one tree can house an entire town, with bridges spun between branches and elevators carved into the trunk. The high branches are dangerous because of birds, but the middle canopy is one of the safest neighborhoods on the planet. The third move is consolidation. Cities still exist, but they shrink in number. Coastal cities are abandoned because of tides and storm surges. Plain cities are abandoned because of wind. The new map of human civilization clings to natural shelter. Caves, canyons, sheltered valleys, and dense forests where the canopy breaks the rain. By month 3, the global population has crashed. Most simulations of a scenario like this suggest 60 to 90% of humanity is gone within a year. The Wild Kingdom has reclaimed enormous amounts of territory, but the survivors are now organized, dug in, and learning. Food becomes a new science. Shrunken crops still grow, but they grow at our scale, which means they yield far less by volume than wild crops. The wild apple on a wild tree is now the size of a small house. If you can get to it, you can feed a town for a week. Farming becomes a hybrid practice. Domesticated crops grown indoors, wild produce harvested from outside in raid-style expeditions. Transportation transforms completely. A car still works at our new scale, but the roads do not. A pothole is now a canyon. A crack in the sidewalk is now a ravine. The classic road trip becomes a multi-month expedition. Air travel is reimagined. We cannot fly normal-sized planes safely through wild weather, but small gliders and drones work shockingly well at this scale, because air actually feels thicker to a smaller body. By year 5, a new equilibrium begins to form. Humans cluster in fortress cities, often underground or in tree canopies. Hunting parties take down wild prey for protein, sometimes losing members to the prey. Wild animals slowly learn that humans are dangerous in groups, and many predators start avoiding settlements the way wolves once learned to avoid human villages. By year 10, humans have begun to selectively breed new versions of useful tools. Sharper crops, faster shrunken horses, better trained shrunken dogs. Our technology adapts, our weapons adapt, our medicine adapts. We have not lost any of our knowledge. We only lost our scale. By year 50, humanity is no longer dying out. We are, against all odds, climbing back. Population begins to rise. Trade routes link tree cities to underground cities to canyon cities. A new global civilization, smaller in every dimension except ambition, takes shape. Will we be the dominant species again? That depends on how you define dominance. If dominance means population, no. Insects already outnumber us by a factor of millions, and they have new advantages over us now. If it means territory, no. Wild animals control most of the surface. But if dominance means the ability to shape our environment, store knowledge, and pass it down across generations, the answer is still yes, because the one thing that did not shrink is intelligence. The most surprising finding in this scenario is not how many of us die. It is how many of us survive. Humans are, pound for pound, one of the most adaptable species ever to exist. We have survived ice ages, plagues, famines, and pandemics. The body lost 6 feet. The brain did not lose a single neuron. So we ride out the storms. We dig the tunnels, we climb the trees. We learn to fear the cat that wandered in from the wild and respect the spider that owns the wall. And in a world where every drop of rain is a bomb and every wasp is a war machine, we still find a way to build civilization back up, one tiny brick at a time.